Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be with you today. I've been in the Senate for 10 years now, representing the French abroad. 60% of my time is abroad, so I did 537 trips to 114 countries. As Vice President of the Committee for Foreign Affairs and Defense, I have included the fight against fake news in the 2018 military programming law. In the latest military programming law last year, I integrated the guarantee of freedom of maritime movement by our Navy in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. In charge of cyber for 7 years in the Senate, I have to tell you that I'm a cyber paranoid. In 1999, I launched my internet marketplace. It was on a Friday at 3 p.m. On Monday morning, my marketing manager was very happy to share with me about the exceptional traffic figures on our server during the weekend. Then my IT manager came. He wanted to talk to me in secret. And he told me at 3 a.m. on Saturday morning, someone broke into our servers and downloaded adult movies on our server. The whole world was uploading them all weekend. Then my marketing manager suggested me to move to adult movie industry. But I discovered what a firewall was done for, and I preferred to buy one. But you understand now why I developed a cyber paranoid. Tomorrow is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. 80 years ago, thousands of soldiers lived the last day of their lives. Tomorrow, I'll be at Homa Beach to pay tribute to their memory and express our country's eternal gratitude for their sacrifice. The success of the D-Day owes much to Alan Turing, who succeeded in deciphering the Enigma code used by the German army to transmit military information. This code, which changed every 24 hours and had billions of combinations, was considered unbreakable. Turing saved a considerable number of lives. It was Alan Turing who prefigured artificial intelligence in 1950. Yesterday, we were discussing what could be the next 80 years of security in cyberspace. Something tells me that our successors will continue to talk about security, that countries will seek to decrypt encrypted data just as they did 80 years ago or today. Quantum computing will have taken them into a new dimension. 80 years ago, thanks to heroes, Europe regained its freedom. Just 35 years ago, the Chinese authorities massacred freedom and its students in Tiananmen Square because they were calling for democracy. Its mastery of technology has enabled it to create a cyber war to impose social control on its population, combining social networks, facial recognitions, cameras, and artificial intelligence. The Chinese Communist Party has set 2049 the year of its century for China to impose its leadership on the world. The question is, what kind of world do we want to live in on 2049? Do we want to live in a world where democracy and individual freedoms are respected, or in a world where everyone must conform to an order determined by the party or an autocrat? We are facing a hybrid war. The cyber dimension, which includes the criminal sector, espionage, and military action that preoccupies us at Paris Cyber Week, is not the only one. We should have mentioned the trafficking of human beings and migrants sent in waves to overwhelm our borders. On the environmental crimes of illegal mining and trafficking in metals and minerals. Our Commission of Inquiry into Drugs Trafficking has just published its report 3 weeks ago. Chinese precursor chemicals make up 70% of cocaine. I've seen their presence in these laboratories deep in the jungle 2 weeks ago. These chemicals are the source of synthetic drugs such as fentanyl, responsible for some 120,000 deaths in the United States just in 2023. Along with Hong Kong, which has become the black hole of money laundering, Beijing is at both ends of the narco-trafficking supply chain, one of the components of the hybrid war to which democracies are committed. We could also elaborate on all aspects of disinformation. There is no canon for destroying a lie. Totalitarian or authoritarian states attack democracies on a daily basis, relativizing the importance of respecting human rights. In this battle of opinion, democracies must not be naive. At the start of the COVID-19 crisis in March 2020, the Chinese embassy in Paris issued a statement saying that France was letting its elderly people die in retirement, in EHPAD retirement houses. I produced a report at that time and called for the creation of a cyber reaction force, the only one capable of reacting and fighting offensively against the enemies of our Republican values. 15 months later, the Viginum National Agency was created in France to detect international attacks. Viginum now tracks down foreign interference on the internet. It is proving invaluable in dealing with the increasingly sophisticated modus operandi observed in the run-up to the Olympic Games. On March 25, the US Department of Justice unveiled an indictment against 7 Chinese national belongings to the APT-31 hacker group, which reports directly to the Chinese Ministry of State Security. I would like to thank the FBI and the Justice Department for their action and for keeping us informed. This is clearly an act of cyber warfare committed by a 2.0 dictatorship. Starting this week, as part of my cyber prerogatives. We began work in the French Senate to assess what should be done when our country falls victim to an act of cyber warfare. Once again, I'd like to thank Sébastien for allowing me to bring some of the participants together in the Senate on Monday to share their views and open the sequence of hearings following the APT-31 attack. Are we going to stand idly by? I set up my company at the age of 20. My company collaborated in the creation of several weapon systems, and I worked with Roland Moreno, the inventor of the smart card. I used to say, your present is my past. Since I've been in the Senate, I feel like I'm living in someone's past. We are always reacting. We are under so many cyber attacks that I feel like we are punching balls. We are in over our heads. The Chinese are doing things on our networks that we observe but don't understand. They are preparing for war. They are already there. Each of us has vulnerabilities. Democratic countries must take back the initiative. My uncle had been teaching me to play chess. And when I was 10, every day, we were going to go for the newspaper to study the game of the World Championship between Boris Spassky and Bobby Fischer. Alone, against the Soviet grandmaster, who had dominated the chess world for decades, Bobby was unpredictable. He found the loopholes and won. Faced with China, we must follow his inspiration and act likewise. For too long, we have failed to respond to cyber attacks. We are told it would escalate the situation. The CCP is no longer afraid of us. It sees democracies as weak, predictable systems. We have to surprise them. An international cyber deterrent force must be created to destroy China's cyber war on command. To build this force, we need political courage, solidarity, and the inspiration of Alan Turing and Bobby Fischer. We need to understand that no democratic country, not even the United States, has the critical mass to compete alone against the threats posed by China today. Faced with a hyper-centralized China, democracies appear divided. The fragility of our edifice stems from the fragmentation of states and the separation between public and private players. The EU has taken great steps towards unity by creating a Europe of cyber sovereignty. Even united on this issue, the EU will not have the critical size. The United States advocates cyber solidarity, and rightly so. And I'd like to thank Phil Stupak of the White House for all the time he devoted to me and the trust he placed in me. We need a strong partnership between the US and the EU, but also with private companies. In Washington, the people of Google told me, Russia is bigger than Ukraine. But on the internet, Google is more powerful than Russia. AWS proved its ability to make Ukraine resilient at the start of the Russian invasion. US-EU collaboration, public-private, must be able to take place in the same way as we do in the nuclear sector, starting, for example, by transparently sharing our mutual vulnerabilities. And I thank Daniel Cadic, ACN President, to promote this idea. Why were IPAC, International Parliamentary Alliance on China, members attacked? Because Beijing fears us. I think we need to build an international interparliamentary cyber alliance to accompany and support a policy of cyber solidarity. There is no system without vulnerabilities. There are ways to destroy China's cyber world from the inside and free the Chinese from this 2.0 dictatorship. CCP proudly announced their long-term plan to rule the world by 2049. Democracies have also a long-term plan. It's to prevent the Chinese communists from achieving their plan. Thank you.